How's it? It's not often that you get confronted with a photographer. Look at that kind of cool stuff, and you immediately fall in love with them. That's what happened with me. This is a lady called Joyce Tenneson, and I tell you what, the moment that I saw her work, I was gobsmacked. It was ethereal. It was painterly. It's weirdly hard to sort of pin down from a technical aspect, which I adore that kind of thing because I'm very sort of analytical. I like to sort of dig in and be a bit forensic about things. And I was kind of like, oh, there's a lot going on here to unpack. And it evokes such a cool vibe that it's beautiful. Now, the way that I was introduced to Joyce Tenneson was that I was doing some business mentoring with a chap called Mark Cleghorn here in the UK, and I'd taken some photographs that had been sort of inspired by Nadav Kanda, who I was also I was picking apart the images and going like, what can I try here? What sort of approaches? So it was lots of sort of dragging the shutter a bit, mixed lighting, what have you. And Mark took a look at them and he was like, oh, that reminds me of Joyce Tenneson. And at this point, I'd never heard of her. And I'm going to guess quite a few probably watching this video have also not heard of her. So before we go any further, let's actually find out who she is and why her work's so important. So once again, I'm indebted to Joyce for having a website that actually has like a kind of an interesting bio on it. And there's some words here immediately: haunting, ethereal, mystical. And it says here, all of these words describe the photographic style of Joyce Tenneson. Her images are mysterious alchemy of sensuality and spirituality lit in an almost otherworldly glow. You can see where this is going, right? And as I said, Joyce's work has been published in books and major magazines, exhibited in museums and galleries worldwide. Her portraits have appeared on covers for magazines such as Time, Life, Newsweek, Premier, Esquire, and the New York Times Magazine. She's also been the recipient of many awards, and in a poll conducted by American Photo Magazine, readers voted Tenneson amongst the 10 most influential women in the history of photography. High praise indeed. Oh God, that is a big thing because there's some pretty major names in there. Not just kind of sticks with me because of what they said there at the beginning. That haunting, ethereal, mystical aspect of it. Now, there's another word in there: sensuality. I have to be careful about the images of hers that I can show here on YouTube because, as you may or may not know, YouTube has a thing with boobs. Okay, any suggestion of a bit of a boob, and it will age restrict the video. Nobody will see it. Right? It just doesn't get pushed. So I'd be careful. So if you want to go and check out more of her work, and I highly recommend that you do, go check out her website. The work is fabulous. But be that as it may, as I mentioned, I could get some books, and I've got this one here with me today. So this is Illuminations by Joyce. And the thing that strikes me the most, especially with these images, he says throwing that book around on the floor, is there is that mystical quality. Now, I believe that Joyce grew up in a monastery, or near a monastery, or connected to a monastery, or somehow. So this idea of religion, of that kind of low, that's my impression of a monk doing his kind of la 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 la. It seems to be ingrained into her photographs, and especially when you see like here, for example, that you can see there's some ideas. I'll just put it in front of my face, right? That it has a monastic feel. And I really like that. Now, it would be easy, I think, if you're confronted with a monastery or any sort of like churchy kind of spiritual sort of ideas, to be quite dark about it. Maybe that's the gothicness in me coming through. It's always it's graveyard, it's dark, it's moody, it's glum, and it's so on. Whereas Joyce's photographs are like lit through massively with light, with that airiness. But how does she go about getting this airiness into her photographs in the first place? And this is where we get to the more forensic part that I love about photography, because as soon as you've got like a bit of an understanding about how things work, what have you, it means you can start looking at photographs and pick them apart, get an idea for what's going on. And the thing that leapt out of me almost as soon as I started like falling in love with Joyce's work was her use of not soft focus and sort of the blurriness, but secondary bits of light in there, painting with light, bringing in other light sources to the image. So this is in effect basically what happens when you leave the shutter open and you paint light around with a torch, a cigarette lighter. It's something that creates an illumination, and that registers on the film or the sensor, and you get this kind of interesting patination through it. And I thought, okay, but that seems easy enough, right? I get the idea of what's going on there. But then there are photographs that I look in Joyce's folio where I can't quite figure out how she's done this. Right? What is she doing? Because it's not as simple as it appears on the basis. And I think that's kind of one of the things that often I certainly fall foul of. I look at something and go, well, that's a simple idea. But then, of course, when you are confronted with somebody who can make it look simple, you fall into that trap, don't you? You're like, oh, yeah, I could do this. And then you realize that you can't. It's very tricky. I did have some attempts. I tried it out. I experimented with doing some portraits here at the house. They were okay. I mean, they're not. They probably have a certain style and aesthetic that works for them. But because I was trying to replicate the feeling of Joyce's work, the whole styling aspect is just it's not right. But if you were to find a photographer whose work inspires you, motivates you, like you kind of go, oh my God, this is so cool, I want to try that. Then think about, okay, what are they doing? In this case, we've got light that is quite painterly. So it feels like it's very soft, open, diffuse light, right? So this light here it's a soft box, it's quite close to me, it's like here. But it's fairly directional. These feel like they are just bathed in liquid light, like Joyce has a big bucket of light and it's just like poured it all over. It's like this beautiful wispy kind of thing that comes around her. The next aspect that does bring into that etherealness is the softness. Now, obviously, I don't know for certain what Joyce is doing to create these images. I'm sure somebody who has probably watched this would actually know, but I'm going to hazard a couple of guesses, right? So one, the soft light is going to help bring all that kind of feeling through, that glow that we're talking about. It's possible that she's using soft focus lens, right? So I don't know if you still get soft focus lenses for modern cameras, but back in the day you could buy portrait lenses that had like a soft focus effect. So you'd like flick a little switch and it would bring like a haze and that glamour glow to the images. But whatever it is, that's an aspect. When you start picking it through, you go, okay, fine. What's made today? The light, the softness of the images, okay, and then that addition of a third lighting aspect, which in this case, when you look at it, I think goes, oh man, those are so cool. It is tying so massively into, especially in the illuminations case, that feeling of the light of, and I don't want to say like the light of God or anything like that, but that kind of that glow that comes through all this sort of stuff. So you combine all these together, plus the fact that she's kind of imbued, whatever you want to call it, with growing up near a monastery, being around this feeling, having a deep connection to it, because it's something constant, that brings it through into her work. And of course, that's where my own attempts at this failed, is because that's not really me. I'm trying out a technique, I'm trying out something, and while there are aspects to it that I like, ultimately what makes this feel simple for Joyce and very difficult for me is that this is all her. This is in here. This is where it comes from to begin with. Which is why, we need to be mindful. We need to listen to these voices inside us that go, that is so cool, that's amazing, but it's not quite for you. But here's something that is. And that's where, experimenting, trying things out, we start to find what it is that we enjoy. If you have a photographer whose work you've kind of looked at and you've gone, oh my God, this is like amazing, you let me know. Say so in the comments. You're somebody who you were like, immediately when you saw their work, you fell in love with it instantly. Because that was Joyce. And I tell you what, even though these kind of images don't really suit my decor or anything like that, if I could have some of those to put up on walls, I would be absolutely overjoyed with like that, like a Dan Winters print. That's lovely, but completely different to this. And we'll be talking about Dan Winters in an upcoming episode. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will chat with you again soon. Right, cheerio.